Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that affects all of us, often in ways we don't even see: modern surveillance. From the cameras on the street corner to the phone right in your pocket, we're going to unpack the technology, the trade-offs, and what it all means to live in a world that is always watching.
You know that feeling, right? You're just walking down the street, maybe you're in a shopping mall or waiting for a train, and you just catch a glimpse of a camera lens pointed your way. It's a pretty common, almost universal experience in our modern world.
And that feeling? It's grounded in a pretty staggering reality. A 2022 study estimated there are over 770 million surveillance cameras active all over the world, and that number is just constantly climbing. So no, you're not imagining it. Those invisible watchers are very, very real.
To really get our heads around what this all means, we're going to unpack a report from Virtualization Options LLC. They're a technology research and education organization based out in Colorado. We'll use their findings to demystify the tech behind the lens, to better understand this watched world that's being created all around us.
All right, so what's actually in this modern surveillance toolkit? I'll tell you, it's a lot more than just some cameras on a pole. We're talking about a whole suite of sophisticated technologies all working together. And we're going to start with the one you've probably heard the most about. So, facial recognition. What is it, really? At its heart, it's a form of biometric identification. It uses these really smart algorithms to analyze the unique patterns of your face, the distance between your eyes, the shape of your nose, and then it compares that data to a gigantic database of images, looking for a match.
And this technology is a classic double-edged sword. On one side, it's a powerful tool for law enforcement, used to find missing persons and help secure borders. But the other side of that coin opens the door to mass surveillance, the potential for huge data breaches, and bias systems that can actually lead to discrimination.
Next up in the toolkit, automated license plate readers, or ALPRs. These are high-speed camera systems. You'll often see them mounted on police cars or in infrastructure like bridges, and they are designed to do one thing, relentlessly: capture license plate information. And this system creates a really detailed digital trail of your movements. First, a camera just automatically snaps a photo of your plate. Then, software instantly pulls the number, the time, and the location. And just like that, that data point gets stored. Over time, all those points create a huge, searchable map of where a vehicle, and let's be real, its driver, has been.
But of course, the most powerful surveillance device, well, it's the one that you willingly carry around with you everywhere you go. Your smartphone is an absolute treasure trove of data, constantly gathering information on your location, your app usage, and even your browsing history.
So where does all this smartphone data actually go? It fuels a massive, complex data economy. It's used to build these incredibly detailed profiles about you for targeted advertising. It's shared with or sold to third parties you've never even heard of, and it can even be requested by government agencies. Our phones have become a key part of this whole surveillance network.
So, all this technology, the cameras, the trackers, our phones, it really forces us to confront a central dilemma. It presents us with this fundamental bargain, one that we're asked to accept every single day, whether we realize it or not.
This is the surveillance bargain. The promise is greater security, better city services, and faster help in emergencies. But the price is a slow, steady erosion of our personal privacy, the very real potential for all this data to be misused, and what's known as a chilling effect, where people actually become afraid to speak, to assemble, or just to live freely.
Now, in response to all this, lawmakers are trying to step in and, rebalance the scales a bit. Frameworks like Europe's GDPR and the California Consumer Privacy Act, the CCPA, are really landmark attempts to give us back some control. They establish legal rights for you to see what data is being collected, to ask for it to be deleted, and to tell companies to stop selling. But what does it actually mean to live in a watched society? What's the cumulative effect of all this monitoring on our communities and our fundamental rights?
Well, the report from Virtualization Options that we're drawing from puts it pretty starkly. It says surveillance can limit freedom of assembly, speech, and association.
That's that chilling effect in action. I mean, think about it. If you know you're being monitored, are you really as likely to join a protest or speak your mind on a controversial topic? And this is absolutely crucial. The report finds that the burden of all this surveillance is not shared equally. Marginalized communities, including people of color, activists, and folks in low-income neighborhoods, are often disproportionately targeted. This can lead to higher rates of criminalization and just reinforces systemic inequality. This forces us to ask a really critical question. Who is being watched the most? And who gets to decide? The answers reveal some pretty uncomfortable truths about the fairness and the bias that can get baked right into these automated systems. And behind all of this is a massive economic engine. The global data economy, fueled by the very information these systems collect, is projected to be worth $1.2 trillion by 2025. This entire industry runs on our data, which makes our every click and every movement incredibly valuable. Look, this technology isn't going away, so the crucial conversation isn't if we use it, but how. What does a responsible and ethical path forward actually look like? The report we've been following outlines a clear three-part framework for a better path. It starts with transparency. The public has to know how these systems are being used. That's backed up by protection, robust legal safeguards for our personal data. And finally, and maybe most importantly, it requires oversight. Citizens must have a real say in how they are monitored.
Which brings us to our final question, something for you to consider. The line between security and privacy is constantly being redrawn. So, what is the one piece of your own privacy that you would never be willing to trade away?